Stoke City came within 4 firm taps on the table of closing their academy in a bid to save cash. It was the spring of 2005 and major boardroom splits were emerging, not least about Tony Pulis and his preference for the English transfer market. The Icelandic businessmen who held the power at the Britannia Stadium were struggling to bring in new financing, and one of their ideas to cut costs was to do away with a youth team. At the time, Chairman Gunnar Gislason asked fans, the academy cost us £500,000 a year. John Hall's cost us around £150,000. Do you want 3 players of the stature of John Hall's every year, or the academy? But Phil Rawlins, who held a 10% stake in the club, fought his corner, insisting that player development stood for more than just a conveyor belt. He reveals, in defying expectations, my whole raison d'etre, my whole desire to join the board, was to grow and develop the academy, and they said it cost too much. We had a prickly board meeting with a presentation by the academy director and a discussion after he left the room. Then they took a vote. Peter Coates and Keith Humphreys voted with me to keep the academy open, but the 3 Icelanders voted to close it. The chairman had the casting vote and elected for closure. Gunnar Gislason at a Meet the Chairman evening with Tony Scholes and Phil Rawlins in April 2005. Image Sentinel archive. So Rawlins launched what he remembers as the most passionate speech of his life, saying, "Do you realize what you're doing? There is going to come a day when you're long gone from this club and somebody else is going to pick it up and run with it. And we're not going to have an academy. Do you know how difficult it's going to be to re-establish a youth academy? Even if we want to bring an academy back in future years, nobody's going to trust us. Nobody. Because we closed it." Rawlins emphasized his point with 4 firm taps on the table, and then added, "We will be saying to the people of this city, we aren't bothered about investing in your youth and your future. You're not only closing it now, you're killing its potential for all time. You can't do that. Even if you keep it open and running at a minimum, you can't destroy the club's future. We must be stronger and we will be stronger," insists Stoke City boss. The room went quiet. Coates called for another meeting and this time Gislason voted with Rawlins and the academy stayed open. Pulis, however, was sacked and the English directors, having previously been involved in managerial appointments, only discovered Johan Boskamp was to be his replacement via email. Johan Boskamp is unveiled as the new Stoke City manager by Chairman Gunnar Gislason in the summer of 2005. Rawlins was ready to present the Icelanders with a way out with a takeover bid of about £7 million, what they had paid for the club, but they wanted more than £10 million, which would have limited his further investment. Instead, a roller-coaster season ensued under Boskamp. The stuff that went on was ridiculous, and it was Coates who ultimately came to the fore, backed by the new wealth generated by the thriving Bet365. "It was a much healthier environment," said Rawlins. "I was increasingly of the opinion that if we were going to get into the Premier League it was going to take a billionaire, not just millionaires like me and Keith, hence Peter was the ideal man to take the lead." Returning chairman Peter Coates with Tony Scholes and directors Keith Humphreys and Phil Rawlins in 2006. Coates' first point of business was to bring back Pulis, and within 2 years the side had won promotion, ending a 23-year exile from the top flight. Rawlins celebrated with fellow fans in the Man in Space pub in Hanford, and the next few days were a blur of bliss. He said even people who weren't fans but lived in the city were delighted. "We were raising the whole place up. It was finally being put right. We were back where we belonged." Defying expectations. Phil Rawlins in the Orlando City Soccer Story, by Simon and Susan Van Ness, will be published by University of Nebraska Press on November 1. Price £21.99.